Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Handmaid's Tale, Season 2, Episode 7. It is called After. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. Do you know how a few episodes ago, when June got recaptured, and I was like terrified of the following episode, like how soon I might be?
Yeah.
With this one, like after last week's, I should have been terrified just for the entire like nation of Gilead because Jesus, like, you know, we see them coming home after the funeral for the other handmaids when they're all in their fancy black and red outfits, and we just see like there's just houses and houses of people being hung because they're looking for anyone who in any way could have helped this and was part of this bombing. So we're in super dark times, super dark episode in terms of that. Although in traditional Handmaid's Tale fashion, it did lead to kind of an uplifting kind of moment.
Yeah, the episodes either start with hope and it crushes it at the end, or it's crushing throughout and there's a bit of hope at the end.
Yeah. It knows how to balance it just enough that just when it's just too much almost. Like, okay, and then it'll give you some hope back. It's like, oh, thank God. And then just when you're too happy, if that's even possible on this show, it's like, no.
It's I wouldn't say too happy. It's just getting comfortable.
Yeah, getting comfortable. Yes, you're starting to think this is bearable. Like, I guess it's almost like it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome thing where just when okay, maybe like I'm just used to living with this like captor now. Like I'm used to being this subordinate, and then oh no, all of a sudden it's even worse. Like just when I thought I was okay and I could live with this, it's much worse. So, but no, so super dark stuff, and we did get a subplot this week with Moira specifically. We see a look as well, but Moira is the focus of it, of sure, in Canada, and we even get a little bit of the colonies, which actually just one scene actually because. I was really curious because because obviously we see they're going around like killing all these people in the streets, and it feels super dark, and we're not really sure where this is leading. And we get this scene in the colony where the divans come up and they just like stop all the unwomen and just start like picking like you're on the list in the van, and I'm like, where are they going? Because I think my natural assumption was like these are people who maybe have been like aligned with possible activity in the past. This was like the investigation was my thought at the time. I was just trying to think of what it was, like, like, because for sure Emily definitely was kind of like had spoken out and had been in trouble before.
No, I thought Emily was a weird choice. Are the ones that we saw?
Yeah. Given that we know where it goes.
Yeah. Given that we know where it goes, and the whole thing is they're terrified of infiltrators right now.
Yeah.
It seems weird to bring back ones who you even remotely suspected of anything. Like, Janine, sure. But Emily's an odd choice.
Yeah, I can't really complain, though. It's actually really exciting what happens with them because they're back. They're back.
Yeah.
They're back in the city with everyone, and June goes into the store and Janine's there, and it's like, holy shit, why are you back? And then it's like, not just me, the two of us are here, and looks over, and sure enough, there's Emily. And I'd actually forgotten that she never got to tell her name. Like, she knew her name, but she goes up and she's like, hey, my name's June, I never got a chance to tell you that. And obviously, a big thing at the start of the episode in the van, when they're coming back from the funeral, is they're like, oh, did anyone, like know her name? And, she's like, hey, you were our shopping partner. you should know that, June. It's like,
never got that far.
Never got that far, and then she had her tongue cut out, so, didn't think I had a chance to speak anything. But so this was like this nice moment of like, okay, we have to care about each other because no one else is going to. So she just turns to like a random handmaid, like just one she doesn't know that well. Hey, my name's June. And then she's like, oh, my name's Brianna. And then it's just this scene of them all going around the store, and every single one just starts to tell each other their names so they all know who each other are. It's a really sweet scene. It really helped give you a little bit of hope after the soul-crushing sort of episode we've had. I mean, there's another one as well, but it's a bit of a darker one with the Commander Cushing. Commander Cushing.
Arguably a more interesting win.
An interesting one, especially given what it sets up at the end. And I'm actually really excited because obviously we've been speaking a lot in the past about Serena Joy and how she maybe regrets the world she's in now. Maybe like, okay, so obviously she agreed with a lot of these ideas, but maybe doesn't agree with, now she's in this place where she has no power, she has no say in anything. And all of a sudden, she kind of takes some power back this episode.
Not in her own name, but she's the one pulling the strings.
Yeah, uh, because then obviously like June's worried because Nick is like, I mean, he's not targeted yet, but Cushing comes by the house and is like, hey, we need to talk, because she thinks, and this is a fair assumption on her part, she thinks she's being questioned because Off Glen 2.0 was her shopping buddy. So she might know something. And she's like, oh no, we didn't talk much, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, I'd like to know who helped you escape. You know, he doesn't believe it was a kidnapping. He's very adamant, like, no, who helped you escape? You can trust me, Offred. So Roger, yeah, you seem trustworthy, you dick. Sure you do.
I thought it was interesting just on this and how high the kidnapping story went. Because he's clearly been told that's the official line. He doesn't believe it, but it sounds like even he at his level was told it was a kidnapping.
Certainly Waterford's quite high up the food chain. It certainly seems to be that way.
Yeah, but I didn't realise they were spreading the story to that extent. I thought, the commanders probably all knew the truth quite, amongst themselves, that, they were all pretty aware of it. And this guy, he seems to be on the ball, don't get me wrong, but it seems he was still fed the cover story.
Yeah. But clearly he doesn't believe it. He's not buying it, and he wants to know. And June's worried about Nick, and they have that heartfelt moment in the hospital because she's just been to see Waterford, who's kind of barely, he's alive, he survived. We know that something like, was it 13 commanders or something like that died.
The real question is though, how long do we leave the commander like this? And more importantly is, does Serena keep him like this intentionally?
That is a very interesting question, because obviously where we ultimately go is June actually kind of plays her a little bit. June actually manipulates Serena Joy, because she's like, oh, Cushing came by to see, and he's been killing people in other houses, and he may not care that I'm pregnant. Like, this, she pushes the buttons, and then Serena, is waiting in Nick's place at night, and she's, because it's worth mentioning, after Cushing came to see June, he went right out in the street and shot a Martha, someone who they were suspecting of something, and because the reason why I bring that up is because when Serena Joy comes out of the house or Nick comes out of the house and Serena Joy's sitting there, he's like, oh, where's Eden? And she's like, oh, she went with Rita over to the whatever the family's name was. Yeah, after the Martha got shot, we thought it was a nice thing to do. Yeah, very good. But and I didn't know what she meant, because she uses an official term. She's like, have you ever delivered one of these papers for the commander before? And he's like, yeah, of course. And she's like, can you talk me through it? And I'm like, okay.
And he's like, that needs his signature. It's like, and she's like, yeah, don't you worry about that.
And what I think is interesting though is Nick, once obviously he's going to see what this is, he is obviously going to have no objections, because this is getting him out of bother as well. This is like taking the scent away from him. I mean, obviously Cushing doesn't know to look for him specifically yet, but he'll get there potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have the scene where he's coming back to the house, but the Eye show up and take Cushing into custody, and he's being charged, and like, oh, the evidence that the Eye have presented is overwhelming. You're done for, sir. And the whole Serena's just watching from the window, June's watching from the window, Nick's watching, and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, and it's by order of Waterford that this has happened. So obviously he's higher ranking.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's very high up, and I think it's like, okay, so, and obviously I'm like, okay, that was a big deal that we were able to do that. We were able to abuse the system like that.
Yeah.
But obviously at this point I'm like, okay, so maybe that was a one-time thing. Maybe that's not going to be anything going forward. But the final scene of the episode is Serena Joy brings, so hey, come here and it's into the commander's room, which season 1 that was a big deal. No one was allowed to go in there when he wasn't there, and so Serena's in there. She's like, come in. It's just this awkward thing. Like, where's this going? Like, what's happening here? Because I really didn't know. I was really curious. I didn't know where this was going. And she's like, "You were an editor, right?" And she's like, "Yeah,
I was.
I used to be." And she's like, "Well, there's some reform. I'm reforming. What the security measures around here. It's time things get back to normal. Some orders have to be given out." And there's just this implication. There's just it's unspoken, but it's like, yeah, you did this. The commander's not arranged any of this stuff.
Yeah,
you're taking control. You're back in the position where you're the one arranging things, because this is what you used to do. And
you can see the start of the uneasy alliance where June's like, well, I mean, she's better than the alternative right now.
That is the insane thing about this, is that I never thought in a million years I'd be rooting for a a June Serena partner. I mean, maybe way back at the start, before we really knew how awful Serena Joy was. She's done too much now where I can never fully like sort of trust her or anything like that. But maybe back at the start, I thought, oh, maybe eventually she'll like say this is awful. I should help the handmaids out. But now, obviously, I've not been thinking that for a long time because she's been so awful. But now this is such like no, Serena wants her power back, and at the very least, you have to imagine these more lax security measures are better for June. They're better for Nick.
And does June leverage her position a little bit where, Serena needs her help? That's the whole point when she comes to it's like, no, I need an editor to make sure this looks immaculate. Otherwise, this is going to be, they're going to catch on pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's great. And obviously, she's forging her husband's signature and so on.
But what does June try and get back out of it for herself? Does she, I want some perks for me?
Oh, maybe she will get something in there. I think the way this scene plays, though, we'll get to that later. I think next episode, maybe 2 episodes down the line, maybe we'll get to like what she wants in return. I think right now, though, and they treat it this way, I love how they treat the fact that she gets to use a pen. It's like, I'll need a pen.
She's just happy to be doing work.
Yeah, and it ends with that big, like the slow, like she's almost going to click it. She's got the clicker. She's ready to do it. And it ends in the click as the music kicks in, and that's the end of the episode. And it's like, and it's this whole idea of the pen is mightier than the sword. Like this is like now she has the weapon in her hand, and she doesn't have that much say in what she's doing with it right now. But it's still this element of power. Even just the idea that she's been not allowed to even use a pen or read anything for years.
Yeah, she got maybe a little bit with the Commander last season. Yeah,
she was allowed to read some magazines and stuff. Like he got her like some generic women's magazines, as if that was like what she'd been hungering for.
But she didn't care. It was something.
Yeah. Because I was thinking actually she was doing this is that I'm sure she was sick of doing this at her work. Like I'm sure this was every day for years. She was probably bored stiff of doing editing work and editing just various things. But this is like now that she's not been allowed to do this for so long, this will feel so good that she gets to do it.
It's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I thought was really interesting about it, especially this last few minutes of the episode, from when they're all telling each other their names. I thought this was going to be the point where we got a voice back, her in a monologue, because we haven't had it since it went away.
That's right, yeah.
Those few episodes ago at the end. And I thought, when they've got that moment of hope, they're all telling each other their names, that's the open defiance of it. To do that just in plain sight, I thought, oh, this is it. But it wasn't. And then I thought, okay, at the end, when she's going for the pen, I was like, this is it. This is where she says something. But still nothing.
Just F, she clicks the pen or something like that. I think it will come back, but I think they're waiting for the moment that makes sense.
I feel like it's going to be a while now if this wasn't the moment, because this felt like it could have been quite easily.
It's funny because I'd argue that maybe it'll be when she's really in a bad place again and she needs it for strength, right? But it's not like she's had an easy time the last few episodes. Like
no, that doesn't really. When we've heard it before, it was not about being in the bad place. It was the escape, sure, but it was the defiance of it. Yeah,
so I don't know when it'll appear. I do think it'll come back. It's been such a big part of the show, but I think it'll be a prominent moment of some kind. I think it'll be this season. I can see it being this season.
I think like. The worst case scenario for it is the last episode. Yeah,
I can almost. I just joked it'd just be F. Yeah, she clicks the pen. I can almost see it being a one-liner at the very end.
At the end,
the finale.
The really meta idea. We're back, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, I thought all that stuff was really fascinating with her. Like you say, I think uneasy alliance is the best way to put it. There's something about this partnership of like. Okay, you want to do this, and you need my help to do it. So all of a sudden, you're using me to feel like a powerful woman again. Like up until now, you've not been allowed to do this, but you've been putting me down for years at this point. You've been putting me down. You've been making me feel like crap. Anytime I show any type of confidence or strength, you go out of your way to threaten my daughter. You go out of your way to threaten whatever. And here you are, you need my help. And, I think it goes back to the scene where they're telling each other their names. The whole idea is that, no, they have to stick together. And it's like, no, here's Serena, you can't do this alone. You need at least someone else to be on your side.
Yeah, but I think this is where we get the power plays between the two of them coming in the next couple of episodes. Because, Serena obviously feels more powerful than, she has in a long time right now because she's the one writing the orders. But June will constantly be like, yeah, but you need me to do it properly. So she's got that power over her. As much power as Serena has right now, June has something on her still.
Yeah, and her baby.
That too.
And her baby. Yeah, no, I like that, and I think I think the lesson. I mean, everything I just said about like like they should be stick together and they should support each other. That's something that arguably should be the lesson that Serena needs to learn. Whether or not she'll learn it willingly or she will take the proper lessons from it, I don't know. But I think that's what she should like. That's ultimately what she should be taking away from it. Whatever she goes through with June, that's what she should take away from it. Whether or not she will, because Serena, as we've seen in the past, doesn't always take the actual
No, it's
intent meaning.
so I really like is for June. It's as an uneasy alliance is not so much that she doesn't want to be working with Serena. It's not that it's I've got to work with her. It's more just she doesn't care who it is. She's just getting to do something. That's that's what she's enjoying about this right now. I think. Not that it's for Serena particularly. It's just that she's willing. If it was the commander who was putting this paper in front of her and saying, "Hey, you can edit this," I think she'd be just as happy to do it because it's the it's the freedom to do it.
I'm going to dispute that a little bit.
Okay.
Not based on it's specifically Serena. I don't think the fact that it's Serena herself that makes it more enjoyable or exciting. But there's a moment where you don't know if she's going to say yes, or she does say yes, and she goes out and says, "I need a pen," and there's like this little like smirky glance she gives at her, like this little like acknowledgement of yeah, we're going to do this. I think there is an extra satisfaction in that she knows Serena's doing this behind Waterford's back.
Okay, that tracks.
I think there's like I'm doing this for a woman, and not like the shitty commander who's been
even if it's a pretty awful woman.
Even if it is the worst possible woman. I mean. Yeah, I'd say Serena's worse than Lydia, or is she? I don't know. I mean, take her.
No, I think she is. At least Lydia, you know where you stand.
Yeah, Lydia, she is a devout radical in her beliefs, but she is consistent in her beliefs.
Yeah, Serena's a bit
temperamental.
Yeah. Lydia, you always know what you're going to get with her. There's never a surprise with what comes out of her mouth.
Yeah, because at the start of the funeral, when she's saying, all I've wanted is a safe world for you girls that doesn't have violence, and I disagree with how she does it and all of her
I believe that she believes it.
Yeah, I believe her, I believe that she means what she's saying there. So, I think it's interesting, but I do think there's like it's time to rebel. Like, I feel like there's almost like a little moment of rebellion they share in that scene.
No, okay, no, I'm with you.
So that's cool. So it's great to have the original Offglen Emily back. Great to have Janine back, and we'll see how that plays out. The other main plot, of course, is after this explosion, which the news of this, and I like that this linked up with what happened last episode in Gilead, is that they're in Little America in Canada. And they're hearing news of, okay, what's happened, and it's unconfirmed at first, but there's an explosion. We believe that there's both commanders, high-ranking, that have died, but also handmaids, because they asked that question, if handmaids died. And this actually strikes up that Moira's, this memory of this girlfriend, she's not found the courage to look for her yet. And she asked, the person who works there at the embassy, look, I'm looking for this girlfriend of mine. I want to see if, what happened to her. And she's taken to a room with all these binders of people no one knows, because there's no way of knowing who everyone is that they've got photos of. I'm not even sure how they have all these photos of everyone. I mean, maybe not everyone who's died, but certainly a good number of them.
It's a fair question.
It was just because as she was going through it, and it's all these pictures of dead bodies. I'm like, who is taking all these photos?
I wonder if the Gilead state do put those out.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because obviously they clearly control their media. And as I imagine they put this out, look, this is who's died. Someone died today. It's still on the news.
With all of them being on the news, like, back at the start of this, when they were executing thousands and thousands of people, but they all make the news individually. And
maybe to send a message, because that's kind of what the statement they were making.
But that's the thing, though. I've always gotten the impression that they kind of intentionally subdue it for the outside Gilead. Like they like whenever they've talked about, like, remember in season 1 when I think it was the senator or whatever from Mexico came.
Yeah.
It was like, let's show them what it's really like. It was like, they have all these rumors outside, but they see us as
That's fair.
I feel like they wouldn't want to actually put images out that make them look bad like that. Like, we are killing people in the streets like this.
Definitely early on as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It says a lot that throughout all this, I find myself fascinated with the the international politics of Gilead and the way it interacts with the other countries.
I kind of do as well. It's interesting. Like, how does all the other countries see this?
Because we got bits. We know Canada have imposed trade sanctions on them.
Yeah.
For, because they're doing these horrific things. They're like, well, we won't trade with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's very relatable to real world. Like, look at Korea, for example.
Yeah, I mean, even like when she comes into this room and it's like, okay, all the black binders are unknown people, the white binders are children, and I like that they separate them because, like, okay, if you're looking for an adult, you don't have to look through the kids' photos. You can avoid looking, because obviously it's very morbid. Like, even she's looking through all these photos, it's like it's depressing as shit.
Yeah,
it's just all these dead bodies, and I get that. Okay, if you don't unless you're looking for a child specifically, you don't want to see them. So keep them on their own binders, but they're not organised because there's no way to organise them. It's just lots and lots of. Because she's just looking through binders, just all night. She's looking through binders. Luke's reaction was interesting to me. I was going to say as well that I thought even this itself was interesting. It was another bit of the mythology. Like, okay, Canada's embassy has all these binders that they can come and look at to try and find if their loved ones are in there. But Luke's reaction was interesting, where he was leaving to go home. Like, he heard what they had to say and he's going home. He's like, hey, do you want to stay and find out what happened? If she's okay. He's like, she's not okay. I know she's not okay, but I've got faith she's alive. And you get that he's had to deal with this knowledge that she's in Gilead this long now, that he's got a way to deal with it, and he doesn't necessarily obsess over it when he doesn't have to.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to be confronted with the truth. I think he tries to avoid it. This is why he doesn't stay, because if he doesn't hear that she's dead, he can pretend she's alive. He can still have hope. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Even when he says, "I know she's not okay," that's like, yeah. Even if she's alive, she's in an awful circumstance.
It is. Yeah. It's the same reason presumably the same reason why Moira hasn't gone and looked through these binders before.
Exactly.
She didn't want to face the reality. She wants the hope.
And what's interesting is, I think when he comes by at one point to bring her some food, and she says, "Oh, like, what if I don't find her in here? Like, what do I do then?" And he's like, "Welcome to my world." And she cracks a little joke about his wool hat, but the idea being that it maybe implies that he has looked through these binders and he knows that she's not in them. He's already done this, but it's actually in a way arguably worse because he doesn't know. There's this unknown factor to it.
That's it. At least if you find them, you can grieve, right?
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that he will know she was alive at some point now, because now Moira escaped. And Moira can at least say, no, she was here up until this point. I know where she was. Yeah. So he has more knowledge than a lot of people do, for people who have missing family members.
I saw her a year ago, however long.
Maybe months, actually. I mean, I don't know how long it's
maybe.
been. Yeah. I mean, well, now it's probably a year because we've jumped in time with the pregnancy, but...
We have, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I thought this was fascinating. And, as we're going through this, we actually get these some flashbacks with Moira. We see this part of her story we hadn't seen before. Clearly, in the early days of the birth crisis, if you want to call it that, there was more people offering money for, artificial insemination, or at the very least, giving birth, surrogate mothers. Yeah. And we see that Moira's all excited because she's going to get 250 grand to give birth to a baby, to carry a baby and give birth. And she's like, "You sure about this?" Because she's with June, and she's like, "You sure about this?" Like, she wouldn't get attached to him, and it was very, it was a fun scene. The dialogue in their flashbacks tends to be pretty funny because they're very quick, and Moira's very insulting back the way, and it's usually quite good banter. Yeah, and we see her, throughout stages, with the gynecologist, and then we see them at one of the classes with the Lamaze and all the rest of it, and obviously, like, we get the idea that she was getting attached during the sonogram, right? Because she's like, "Do you want a photo of this?" And he's like, "Do you not want to look?" And she's like, "No, I'm fine. I don't need a photo." And June's like, "No, get a photo. This is a big memory." And he gets like, "No."
Fridge.
Yeah. She never says it, but you get why. It's like, "No, I don't want to get attached. I wanted, like, this is not my baby." Like,
keep it as distant as possible.
And it's interesting to see this, because even though this is obviously a thing in real life, it's just interesting in the context of the show to see someone do what the Handmaids essentially do, but willingly, in the proper channel of doing it.
Yeah.
And how even in that context, it's hard for her, because you hear about this all the time, that mothers, they get attached to their baby and maybe don't want to give them up. And that's when they've agreed to do it. They've made a conscious choice as an adult. No, I'm going to do this. In this case, for money, sometimes it's out of friendship or whatever.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So I thought that was just an interesting, like, exploration of, no, even when this is something you chose to do, this can get difficult. Yeah. Never mind what June and all the other handmaids are being forced to go through. We've seen Janine go off the deep end when this happened.
Yeah, we did. She's still just completely.
I mean, she had literally jumped into the deep end.
Yeah,
or tried to.
She is completely cracked and just off a rocker right now still.
Yeah, she's very cheery. She's the most cheery handmaid ever.
When she comes in and just hugs June from behind, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah. I just get nervous with the guys with the guns at the corners of the rooms.
They're just gonna just take a shot at some point.
Yeah, just squeezing their grips a little bit. It's like, do you want that other eye to be good still, Janine?
Yeah.
Quiet down. Yeah. But no, bless her. She does.
They get a bit more protection than the Marthas in the street, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So now when we get this, and I felt the chemistry with the gynecologist in the first scene, and didn't really think much of it because but then the second scene, and she was in the Limoges class, I was like, okay, and then she gives birth, and we have the scene where she sees the couple take the baby, and it's this emotional kind of scene, and I'm like, she's looking for someone. I'm sure this is the gynecologist. I'm sure this is the person who she ends up dating, right? And obviously, it's not until the scene where it's Christmas time and they meet, and you
talk about some wine.
And it's a nice parallel to the June story, because up until now she's been, you're Doctor so and so, but she's like, no, call me Odette. Like it's the same scene in the flashback as all the handmaids telling their real names. It's a really nice touch, because up until this point, no, you're just a profession. This is the role you serve. This is what you function as. But it's no, I'm not your doctor anymore. Just call me Odette.
I think that's the interesting part of this. Is she's like, no, I'm not your doctor anymore. So it's forget about the profession. And I think you can extrapolate that into the handmaids who go, no, we're not here for handmaids. We're the people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just good stuff. It nicely parallels the two stories. And then she finds the photo. Because I was wondering, like, maybe she won't find it and it'll leave us in the is she somewhere, is she not? Leave it in the ambiguity. But no, she finds it and she breaks down and cries. And it's just it's a touching scene. So,
but like we said, she gets to grieve now at least.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, that was a great episode. If I have any critiques, maybe, is that sometimes with Cushing, I felt they were just playing the villain card a little too strongly with him.
No, I agree, because it was only really introduced here, and then they just really played it up all of a sudden.
Yeah, we saw him because in the previously on, you saw him with the shooting the discs.
Yeah, he's been here in the background here or there, but he's never been a real part of the show.
Yeah, there was just a couple of scenes where it was like they were making clear, and I thought this was an interesting route to go down. If it was like, okay, now we've got a commander in charge who's even worse than Price, because Price is when they've told us Price is dead. Whether or not he's really dead, I mean, I don't know. I'm not totally convinced.
Okay.
That said, though, it makes sense for Nick's story now that he doesn't have his ally. Like, he had someone who would listen to him in charge.
Yeah, I think dramatically it makes more sense for him to be dead. The benefit of them going, he wasn't dead all along. It was a part of a ruse to root out the infiltrators. I think that's a little underwhelming.
That's fair. I agree he's likely dead. I just think TV rules. I never saw a body. I'm not convinced entirely.
No, that's fair. But I think it has more weight if he was dead, and the bomb did take him out as well. That's
fair. But yeah, the music was a little bit harsher. It was like playing this evil theme, and I was like, usually this show, well, it can be on the nose with some of its messaging. It doesn't necessarily play the moments themselves as on the nose, and I would say soapy, but like just. It was almost pantomime, like how dark the music was getting when he was like in the scenes, like making these threats. I'm like, okay, I get it. He's worse than Price. He's worse than Waterford. I get it. But a designer complaint, because even though it's a main part of the plot of the episode, it's still, relatively speaking, in the course of the hour, not that much of the time. And Coley, I mean, we might see him again, but I doubt it. Like, I think he's done. I think he's gone now.
No, I think he is as well. We might get a bit of him trying to explain his side and see if it comes back to bite Serena.
Yeah.
I can see that maybe being a thing we go down, but we might not.
Yeah, we might not. Yeah, and then other than that, I just wanted two brief things I want to mention. I'm kind of liking just the vibe between June and Rita now. Like, because at first Rita didn't seem to like June very much back at the start of season 1, and I feel like now there's this sort of camaraderie that's kind of formed. Like, when she comes up to cause she's not in a lot of this episode, when she comes up to tell her that someone's there to see her, she's clearly concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a nice little touch. And correct me if was Eden, and seeing the scene where all the handmaids were telling their names to each other, was it Eden in the store?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it cut to someone in just the sort of the more neutral colours at one point, and I wasn't sure. Like, she was young, she looking at Eden, but it was such a quick shot, I wasn't sure. Because I thought, oh, maybe this is going to cause trouble. Eden is witnessing all this name exchanging, but
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that was my mind filling in blanks to make it mean something, when it was just it's a bystander.
You were seeing a pattern.
Yeah, I've seen a pattern. More on Legion tomorrow. But yeah, so no, that's good. And it is worth mentioning that about several, like a half dozen people in the comments of last week's episode agree with you completely on Eden. So I'll acknowledge
that one for now. Yeah.
It's fine. I'll acknowledge it. It's fine. You're probably right at this point, but
this episode doesn't really give us much to go on either way, though, does it?
But I thought I'd mention it because I'll forget next time it comes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will happily concede it unless I turn it to be right, in which case I'll rub it in everyone's faces. But I'm happy to concede it just now. Let it go. But if I do turn it to be right, just by chance...
Oh, God, you're going to be unbearable.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Kind of like a certain bet we made in a Leftovers plot point.
I ran with that for months.
You ran with that when there was no real hope, and it just happened to turn out to be right, and then you just milked it. You milked it dry.
You had that for months, me just going with that.
And now I have like a grudge against the country of Australia for like no good reason of their own. Like, it's not Australia's fault.
I have ruined Australia for you.
You have. You absolutely have. You know how in Parks and Rec how they hate the librarians?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Australia. Like, that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
So, but that's this week's Handmaid's Tale. It was a very good episode, as per usual. Handmaid does not typically let us down.
It doesn't. It's very consistent.
It varies from great to exceptional. That is the spectrum, typically, that we're working with.
It's pretty narrow.
Yeah, it's a pretty narrow spectrum, but it's a good spectrum to be in, so I can't complain. But that is episode 7 of the season, which is the middle episode. We still got 6 left. There's 13 this year, so it's still got plenty to go and to look forward to. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us in the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can do that over there. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that is it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?